Hey folks, Lester here, and welcome to day number 2 of a pretty wet and wild week here at I'm a Survivor in the beautiful city of Plum Grove, Texas. I feel like I'm getting nasty. All right, time to run. I'll be right back with you. Don't y'all leave me. Billy and Granny, along with their little calf, are standing in the pouring rain. I mean, it's a drenching, pouring rain. Now listen, they have shelter, but they choose not to go to it. Now, our Longhorns also have significant shelter if they choose to get out of the weather. We have the large stall that I'm in right now. We also have the 16 by 16 barn stall over there. And then we have an additional 16 by 8 on the other side of that. Yet all of our Longhorns are standing there still eating back behind Jake's house. When Jake took Moo, Santoro, and Annabelle, Jake and I stopped by and looked at some different barns and got some prices. And I advised Jake that at some point, especially before winter, and for sure before he gets goats, that would be a wise investment. And so when Jake went ahead and took the cows over, and everyone started going crazy because there was no shelter, I was the first comment to say, hey, cows don't necessarily need shelter. It's nice to have it if they want it, but as long as they have a way to get out of the sun and the rain and the wind, if they choose to. But that's mostly seasonal, because animals, bovine especially, have been conditioned to things that you and I find uncomfortable, but they don't. And so I was very clear, and I support Jake for taking the cows on over, even though his barn is not there yet. Now, would I support him for having goats over there? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not until goats have a place to go, because goats don't want to be in the rain. All right, so I've deposited that so that now I can withdraw 11. There's 11 rolls of hay here that I have offered to anybody who wants them. Our cows are no longer eating hay. Our hay is just in the pasture sitting there. They may walk by and have a nibble, an occasional nibble, but for the most part, we have green grass, lots of things to forage on out of all of this acreage back here, and our cows are completely content to eat the green stuff instead of the old dry hay. Now, in saying so, I offered this hay. I offered this hay to anybody who wants it, because hay is not, it does have a shelf life. It will perish. Why Jake went and bought hay, I don't know. But for a number of people who came at me and accused me of making poor Jake, here it goes again. Don't you get tired of being poor Jake. Poor Jake had to go buy hay when Lester has all this he's just going to burn. I don't know why Jake went and bought hay, but this hay is available if Jake would like it, or anyone else for that matter. I never denied Jake any of this hay. As a matter of fact, I took my tractor recently and I took hay to Jake when I saw his first roll had run out. So why Jake went and bought more hay is beyond me. It's none of my business if he doesn't want to use my hay for whatever reason, but the hay is here. So that's one thing that I wanted to address for all the folks who are emailing me telling me how evil I am, or all the messages or all the comments. Lester, just ignore them. I'm not going to ignore them, because the fact of the matter is there's 11 rolls of hay here that will be burnt if they're not used. And if someone needs them, then by all means, come and get them. Number three, fresh water. I think that animals need fresh, clean water. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. I think that all animals need access to fresh, clean water that can be changed out on a regular basis. That's my opinion. not every farmer does that. Many farmers who have large pastures, who have just ponds, are completely okay with their animals drinking from those ponds. I mean, in nature, animals don't have access to fresh, clean, daily changed out water. So once again, that's going to be something that can be highly debated, and I'm not sure what stance you take, but my opinion is I want my animals in all of my pastures to have access to ponds if they need it, but also fresh, clean water. I think Jake should have access to fresh, clean water. If Jake chooses to be like Paw Paw and not have fresh water, but allow them to have pond access only, then that's up to Jake. I don't care. You don't need to be trying to pick fights between me and Jake. Why would you do that? You either support Jake or you don't. You support Lester or you call me an idiot. But why would you continually try to pit us against each other? Jake runs his farm, I run mine. A year ago, I gave in to the internet trolls, all the people who love to see good internet fights. And you begin to send me information about Chad Doss. Oh, Chad, Adler Farms. Now, I have Chad's number. He and I have talked several times. And I agreed with many of you guys who were commenting about some of the conditions of the animals. Okay. So instead of me contacting Chad, I began to give in to the comments. It ended up having Chad and I begin to have quite the online internet beef. He went at my page. I'd already gone at his. And so what it all boiled down to is me having to say to Chad, hey, man, you know what? I was wrong. It's your farm. Those are your animals. You and I have very different farming habits. But ultimately, what I told Chad is I'm a sanctuary, and we are held to a higher standard. And so ultimately, Chad, you do you, and I'll do me. And I apologized for not handling it like a man. The need for shelter, the access to hay, access to clean, fresh water. How I mishandled a situation with another internet farmer and how I wish I'd handled it differently. The last thing I'll talk about will be cubes versus sweet feed. My friends, Lester feeds sweet feed. As a matter of fact, I have so many different varieties of feed depending on which animals and what their needs are at any particular time. Jake is blessed to only have one kind of animal who he feeds cubes. I did. Well, hello, where did you come from? Well, you heard me talking about you. She just, well, are you talking about me? I don't know what you're saying, buddy. Well, okay, I am talking about you, but not about you. Guys, I do prefer to feed sweet feeds. I want to show you something. Cattle, you feed a 50-50 mix. That means 50% of their diet can come from here, but they also need access to the other half of their diet, which comes from things they forage on. Hi, beautiful. And so that's foraging right there. They have grass, they have hay, and they have all of God's green goodness there in the background. And so they need a 50-50 split. That's what the bag tells me. That's what science tells us, okay? So, for example, if the cows were in this pasture here with no access to grazing, and all I gave them was sweet feed, I would be doing them a huge injustice, a huge disservice. I would be, well, they would be malnourished is what they would be. But what we do is we follow the specs on the bag. Now, the problem with the fact that I feed sweet feed is the fact that so many people freak out. Let me finish this real fast. Always provide additional salt and plenty of fresh, clean water. So when they say fresh water, this is what they mean. That's fresh water. Pond water is not fresh water. Okay? And then, so that is what Lester does on Lester's farm. That's what Lester does on Lester's farm. I did make the mistake once of saying that cubes were a poor farmer's food choice. And that's my opinion. That's just my opinion. But it is true that sweet feeds and all the different feeds that we feed cost more. And so if we are blessed to be able to afford them, then I will feed the cows with what I can feed them for their best nutritional, to make sure all their needs are met. I'm just making no sense to me whatsoever anymore. Have anxiety and you're not making it better. I have anxiety, you're not making it better. I have anxiety, you're not making it better. I have anxiety, you're not making it better. I'm going to try to sum this whole thing up best I can. I want to do that by walking over here and having Billy and Granny in the backdrop, because they're a whole lot better fun and funner to look at, and funner and gooder to look at than what I am. Friends, hear me when I say this. Every internet farmer that you know, that means the Morrow Hill farmers, it means all the other channels that you come across on a daily basis. We owe our entire existence. We owe everything that we have ever become with internet on these animals, to these animals. They've made us who we are. And so if we earn money off of them, then it's our responsibility to turn that money back to them. And that can be done in many ways. Barns, equipment, fertilizers for your fields, seed to give them proper nutrition through the harsher winter months, ponds, berms if we have flooding situations. Guys, the list goes on, and I could just read off. Please don't say fencing. Please don't say proper fencing as you look down my crooked ass fences. But yes, in fencing, proper fencing. And you just look around and you look at all of the ways, all the money that you've been able to bring in because of them. And so it's only right that you give back to them and you give them their best life possible, because I promise you something, and look me in the eye, all of us, every one of us, are living our best lives ever because of what these animals have done for us. We would be nothing on the internet if it weren't for these guys. I have made this same video 10 times today. I've done it over and over and over because it's not coming out right. What I want to say is with no malintent whatsoever, not towards you and not towards any other internet farmer. But in a nutshell, what you need to know is that you can only evaluate each page on them. Don't compare Honest Survivor to other folks. If you have a problem with the way other folks are running their channels or running their farms or maintaining their animals, it's your job to get onto them, not to get onto me. Because what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Seriously. All right. No ending video, no funny, happy moments. I'm just going to cut this thing off right there. And y'all,